Doshi's contribution was, cannot simply be said that he started an institution, because then you put that institution at par with any other institution that had that. Shantiniketan was also there, but this institution was very much rooted in the time and the place of its making. That is the Ahmedabad as it was emerging, and being so close to Ahmedabad and Baroda, we suddenly felt that there was a movement of which we wanted to be part of. And I remember my father, who was a freedom fighter, he went to jail with Gandhiji, and so telling us similarly that Gandhi had started a movement that we felt we wanted to be part of. You see, there's that kind of a, and that was just think 50s and early 60s, not very far from the independence movement.
I would like to take you from a path which normally people are not supposed to travel, or they don't travel. This is a straight way to go, this one is another way to go. The whole idea is, this jungle has been made by us. Before it was all barren. So we talk about architecture. I think architecture is a matter of transformation. Transformation of all odd situations into a favorable condition. All these mounds were made by me standing on the rooftop there.
You see, there are these three daughters, and the son, is the architecture school, the sept, So in some ways, in the sense that you see everything is in a way brought back to that fulcrum, or brought back to that center, epicenter, which I think is an orientation of the family in certain ways.
So it was not only a decision on paper, it was not decision on program, it was not a decision with material alone, it is not a decision talking about climate, it is also decision with people, their behavior and the attitude, and all tied in a spatial way. Whenever I work, I become that. I had become a student, a good student and a mischievous student. I was a bad teacher and a good teacher. I was a lazy fellow. Then I was a good director, and I said, let me have a play also. So in everything I have played at two ends. You come back and you design a school here, and you say you are a director, you have to build, you have to teach. And the teachers here may be there and may not be there. How do you catch hold of a teacher? He must be visible, so you can stand in the balcony and call him. And that main space becomes where everybody gathers and goes. And then you look at Indian movies and you say, I want this staircase so children can play. So that's my childhood, that you play around the tree, So here they can go like this, then come back. So there's 1 and 2. When you make it shape like this, suddenly the lower basement changes. So those things began to happen, and then I said, I will have no doors. In fact, if you go there in that concrete, there's a cut. There were supposed to be two doors. I said, why keep a door at all? We don't need a door, because in Philadelphia, in St. Louis, I wrote that architecture is to open doors, not one but many. And now I am in presence of Khan. Khan has come here to design IIM, and I was drawing the School of Architecture campus. And he looks at that drawing in the office and he says, but am I not supposed to do this building that you call me? I said, no, you are going to do this big campus, and that is why I called you. Because he did not sign the papers, I signed on his behalf. And I wrote back also on Kasturbai's behalf. I was working on both. So then I told him about the IIM, but then when he was there, he talked about precision, lack of reduction of vagueness. So how do you do a classroom, a studio? So there are many sketches of Corbusier's about the studio and what not. You don't know, you want to get north light, south breeze, so climate is there already. You have a structure. But when you make an angle, how do you make an angle? And I was thinking of Kahn. So I was then influenced by Kahn on the structural clarity. But articulation is Corbusier's. It's a marriage between them. That staircase is Corbusier, the gargoyle is Corbusier, the concreted brick is Corbusier, but attitude is Kahn's. I mean, it's a very interesting, because I have no compunction, I used to draw like Corbusier, sign like him. When I was with Kahn in his office, I was trying to draw like Kahn. Why not? You are an acting, you do this, so why you do that? So you have to know how to fuse this.
Corbusier was very, very important. But I think, frankly, a distance from Corbusier is also very important. Or whether it's Corbusier or Kahn or Frank Lloyd Wright or Mies, it seems to me. And if you listen to Bach, Bach learned everything he knew as a child by transcribing. You know that? He transcribed earlier great composers. Later on, he became Bach because he could distance himself from that. In fact, there's a famous story that his uncle was so angry with him because at night he used to climb up and transcribe this. He wasn't allowed to play these complicated pieces. And he tore up the book and punished the child. And this Wanda Landowska was a great harpsichord. And she says, too late, she said, on the ring. She said, in the very act of transcribing, the child had learned everything he needed to know about that music. The roots of a tree gather all the water in the soil. So, it's very important to learn that and move on.
I remember Picasso, he looked at everybody's drawings, but in the end he transformed them totally. So I said, I am a damn good fellow in copying. I can now change beyond and do something else. So this is how I did.
Every single student of this school in the first 8 or 10 years had a bond with Doshi that I have not seen in between student-teacher relationship. I would not be totally wrong if I would say that in the first 5 to 6 years he knew every student and his father's name and what his father was doing. And those parents would call him at 12 at night saying their child has not returned, and Doshi would go to the school, find them. Or if he is not in the school, he would send somebody to find that person and do that. So there is no surprise that we all felt like we were his children. So that he never differentiated. His family was much larger than his family. And I think if we have to really look at Doshi, and I look at Doshi, and everybody talks about him as an architect and assesses him as an architect, his architectural work, I find that architecture, from my eyes, is a part of him, but not as significant part as what Doshi as a whole is. That as a human being, as a teacher, both are to me as important as his architecture, and his contribution in both these other fields is so enormous, and which will never be judged other than by people like us who would revere him, whether we agree or disagree with him. But he is on a pedestal for us as a teacher and as a human being.